My name is Arin Lindauer, and you're listening to A Life Without Struggle. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 wonderful children, a 2-time best-selling author, and a highly driven and successful entrepreneur. In my 17-plus year career as a mindset and health expert, I know what holds women back from a life you only dream about. Whether you're a CEO, a businesswoman, or executive, I started this podcast because I have been where you are, and I know you want and deserve more out of your life. I believe women are limitless. We just get lost along the way. The process to get you there is the topic and purpose of this podcast. When you understand what you want, you can truly step into a life without struggle. Welcome, and I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome back to another episode of Life Without Struggle. My name is Arin Lindauer, and excited to bring this topic. This topic is very personal to myself, but I know just from coaching and talking with enough women on a daily basis, I'm not alone. And so I want to bring you a topic here today called, Am I Doing It Right? And so you're probably like, oh my God, where is she going to take this topic here today? And so this is something that has been top of mind for me for quite some time. I think I felt this earlier in my 20s, definitely into my 30s, and then 100% when I started to have children here in my mid 30s and later, and then well into my 40s now. It's just like you constantly are questioning yourself. You're constantly asking yourself, am I doing things right? Am I fulfilling the dreams and the purpose and the calling and the things that I desire? And it's like one day we're on cloud 9, the next minute we're like, holy crap, this is a train wreck. What am I doing? And so I want to speak into this topic pretty deeply here because first and foremost, I want to see women win. I want to see women win on a high level. I know we hold ourselves back. I know we question our abilities, and I know that we stay small because I'm guilty as charged, and I'm ready to really break free. And I want to see more women truly break free and be who you were called and led to be. And we got to stop holding ourselves back. One of the most important things we can do is take care of our health and have personal responsibility, feel good in our own skin, perform amazing in our careers and our businesses and our relationships, have amazing kids, right? But how many of us are constantly questioning, am I doing it right? And so I want to deep dive into this topic here because what are we really talking about? When I pose the question, am I doing it right? Listen, this could go 100 different ways, and I really want to take it in a multitude of ways because I want you to understand how all of this will parallel, how all of this will get impacted. And the number one thing that we must have is a high standard of health when it comes to how we feel, how we consume our food, what kind of knowledge we put in our brains, and how we feel on a daily basis, how much energy we have. And so what I want to do with this topic is ask yourself this question in a multitude of ways. Am I doing it right? So first and foremost, let's speak into health. Am I doing it right when it comes to how I'm supposed to nourish my body, how I'm supposed to move my body? Am I seeing the scale go down? So how you know if you're doing it right when it comes to your health, number one, if you have a goal to lose weight, the scale is going to move. That's how you know if you're doing it right. Now, huge asterisks here is, okay, if you're starving yourself, cool. Like, you know what? The scale's going to go down, and guess what? You're not doing it right. But if we're eating reasonably well, if we've adjusted our portion sizes, if we've cut back on how many sweets we have in a week, if we're focusing on protein or have dialed in our macros, understand how many calories we burn, how many calories we consume, you're doing it right. The scale will move and will be a reflection of the correct actions. That is how we know we're doing it right. How do we know whole nother topic. How do we know we're doing it right when it comes to our relationships? I don't know about you, but I question this on a daily basis. And how can I be a better mother? How I can be a better daughter? How I can be a better spouse? How I can be a better parent. And what's important to understand is we have to understand, what does a good relationship look like? For some of us, we haven't had a good relationship modeled. Don't really know what it should look like, how it should feel. And the reason why I want to parallel this with your health is, if we don't know what good health feels like, it's no different than having really crummy relationships, and this stuff is all intertwined. The second we think we can have a train wreck of a marriage, but have a rockin' body, like, listen, I'm just going to be real. Like, a lot of times that stuff doesn't line up. Now, here's the deal. You may be like, holy crap, she's coming at me, hot and heavy here on this topic. How do I fix my marriage, fix my business, fix my career, my kids, and lose weight? Well, I'm going to tell you, it takes doing this one step at a time. But for most of us type A women, we want to do it all, and we want to do it all right now. But what I'm going to tell you is, the first thing we have to understand, and you've heard me say this 100 times now, is you have to actually know what you desire. And you have to believe that you can have it, that you deserve it, that it's possible. And here's the biggest piece of this, that you're willing to do the actions. You're willing to do the things that it's going to take to get to that next level. So understanding what it is that we want, I think it's very important to understand that we're going to have self-doubt. We're going to question, should I do this? Should I do that? And what we want to understand is, okay, what do I actually desire? Like, for myself personally, I want to feel good in my own skin. I want to have a ton of energy. I want to be able to be clear-minded and serve and love on my clients, give them really good coaching and guidance and support. And that takes me being uber confident in my own skill set, my abilities, my own skin, my body. And there was a time that I didn't feel that way, but the cool thing is that time has passed. The time has passed, and now I feel confident, and I understand what it is that I want, and I know the direction I'm going. We've made some really big pivots and changes in our life, in our business life, and I want to share with you that those changes, those challenges, those big decisions, they become a lot easier. Feel good about you. You're amazingly confident that when you have multiple people telling you, I don't know if you should do that, and you say, hey, this is what I'm designing, this is what I want, and you're confident enough to say, hey, this is the direction I'm going. That's the kind of confidence that I want. But it takes getting into this. It takes stumbling and falling and asking the questions and asking this rhetorical question of, am I doing it right? But then trusting, you know what? If I'm not doing it right, at least I'm learning a lesson. At least I'm learning a lesson that's going to help propel me forward. That's going to allow me to let go. That's going to allow me to say, you know what? I don't have to keep doing it this way just because I've done this my entire life. So where I want to take this is, understanding that just because you've always eaten a certain way, just because you've always struggled to get into the gym, just because you've always struggled to stay on the bandwagon or stay motivated, listen, you're called normal. Okay. And I want you to understand that this stuff creeps up. But what happens is we have to take care of our health inch by inch by inch. I never understood football, right? Until I met my husband, and he was uber into it, obviously played. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was 2 yards. He goes, it was 2 yards. And I'm like, there's a lot of them. I think 100. And I said to him, I was like, why don't they just throw a Hail Mary? Acting like I knew what I was talking about. And he's like, no, you got to have the small plays, and you got to also have the long plays, and altogether, all of this adds up to the score on the scoreboard. And I mean, it was just so interesting to me how, watching football and understanding the aggressive patience that you must have, watching that ball march down the field, and you're not always going to have a Hail Mary. It's no different in life, guys. It's no different in life. Sometimes we get those amazing wins, those wins that you're just like, holy bejesus, like that just happened. And that was awesome. But we can't expect that all the time. Okay. We can expect for our life to be easy when we actually get clear and design the things that we want. See, we just had a major transaction occur personally that felt like it took forever. It felt like it took the entire 18 months that we had been contemplating and thinking, but we weren't clear until literally these last 60 days where we got uber clear on exactly what we wanted to occur, how we wanted it to occur. And then when it actually came to fruition, it was just like, oh, this was pretty easy. Now, I can't say all pieces of the transaction were easy, but for the most part, it was much easier than what other transactions I've had. And so that's where when you get extremely intentional on what are the things that I actually want? How do I want to parent? How do I want my relationship to go? See, all the time we try to look at our partner, our spouse, and we want to blame them, right? Like, because they're the problem. But we have to look internally and understand, am I giving off what I want? That was something that really checked me when, you want a certain outcome. Are you doing that yourself? Are you admitting that this is what I desire? This is what I want? And that was a really important lesson for me because I had so many expectations on other people that they could never, ever come to. So the things that I want you to understand when it comes to, am I doing it right? The only way you're going to know is if the results are produced. And here's the thing, you've got to be so darn clear. What are these results? What do you desire? What do you actually want to happen? When it comes to your health, if you understand what you desire and what you want, then it's a matter of reverse engineering and understanding. Am I eating my food properly? Are my portions on point? Am I having too many gimmies? Do I need to have a coach? Do I need to have someone hold me accountable? No different in business. If we have a desired outcome with our business, but we keep beating our head against the wall, doing the same darn thing, not producing the results, guess what? I have to have a different strategy. There's going to have to be a change and a shift. So again, when we understand what it is that we want from an outcome, then it's a matter of reverse engineering and understanding. But I will put in there, sometimes you got to have a coach. You got to have someone who has charted this territory before, who has done this, who has proven success record in this. And then you got to drop your ego. You got to drop the ego. You got to stop saying, I have all these problems, because what if those problems didn't exist? See, so many of us want to hold on. And what's even worse about this entire journey is when we cycle and repeat. When we constantly, let's use finances as an example. So let's say all of a sudden, you have a ton of money in your bank account, but then you go and you spend frivolously, you rack up the credit card debt, and your income hasn't changed. Well, guess what? We're going to be right back in the same vicious cycle of debt if we didn't change our behaviors. No different than with food, or with our weight loss. If we lose a bunch of weight, but then all of a sudden we let stress impact us, we let our business impact us, our friends and family, or health or illness, and we start eating all the things, not moving our body, well, guess what? You're going to put that weight back on. So have to understand what that is. Why am I creating this? Because if you're questioning every single moment, am I doing this right? Then I guarantee you don't have enough of the knowledge of how to put together a proper plan, whether it's with your finances, your relationships, your kids, whether it's with your health and wellness goals. See, we think we know more than we know, okay? And granted, today, in this day and age that we live in, we think we can watch, a quick video on Instagram or a quick reel, or, this guy said this gal said this. And that's really why I want to come so loudly into this space is got to do certain pieces to this journey. And if something's not working, there are tweaks. There is not an overhaul. This is never an overhaul. If you are not losing weight, it is not your hormones. Now, huge asterisk to this, your hormones could be jacked, but are they jacked because of the excess weight, the unhealthy habits, the not sleeping? I mean, I will tell you, we can cure a lot of women's problems when it comes to their hormones and being off balance. If we would just simply sleep. If we would simply sleep, drink some more water, stay out of the drive-through, and work on our mindset and bringing more peace and clarity, focusing on what we want, not what we don't want. That is anxiety. Anxiety is when you focus on what you don't want. And guess what? When you focus on what you don't want, that's what ends up happening. So I hope we can pull this all I shouldn't say I hope, but my point with all of this is I want you to understand that there's an element of this where you need to simply trust yourself. You need to trust yourself that you know what you're doing. And if you don't, and you're not getting the desired outcome, someone in whatever outcome, a coach, a trainer, someone who understands finances, business, put the right people in your sphere of influence. See, too many times we rely on keeping up with the Joneses. We look at everybody around us, and guess what? They may not be your best influence. Think for ourselves and understand what are our dreams, our passions, our wants. So when you're questioning yourself, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing to question, am I doing this right? Then I want you to trust because you've put the right people around you. It's a matter of doing the things. And when we speak into weight loss, it is about doing the things long after any of us desire. Okay. So especially when I'm speaking into weight loss, this will take more time than any of us want, but I'll tell you, it goes by so quickly. Whenever I'm coaching a woman on weight loss, they're fired up when they first commit and they sign up into my program. They're like, let's go, let's do this. And you get about 3 weeks in and you've had a little bit of life happen. The scale maybe didn't move and it gets frustrating. And I think that's where it's important to understand that, hey, this is normal. This is normal what you feel. No different in business when a marketing strategy just takes off, awesome, great, run with it. But then there's times when they totally flop. If you didn't have the flops or if you didn't have the weeks that didn't go as planned, guess what? We wouldn't know what success looks like. So we have to understand that things are never failures. They're all lessons. These are all things for us to continue to grow and learn from. And so my question to you is, are you doing it right? Do you know? When it comes to your health and your wellness, are you doing it in a way that are going to produce the results? You're sitting there with a bunch of question marks going, well, I kind of sort of, listen, enlist the help of myself. This is something that I have been so uber passionate about. I want to see women win. And I know the first thing that we've got to do is we've got to build our confidence. Build our confidence. We lose weight. We feel good in our own skin. Our clothes all fit. And so this is something that if you've been curious, which I know you are, one of the best ways to connect with me is jumping into my private Facebook group. It's called Infinite Women. This is weight loss and confidence for professional women. And so this is a free group where I put out a lot of really good content. I always have a Mindset Monday, lots of good recipes, and just good tips, just things to keep your brain thinking and in this mode. Because if you're waiting for motivation, I hate to tell you this, motivation is never going to come. But if you're wanting to get these results, which I know you are, you got to line up all the pieces. And if you're trying to patch together what Instagram says, what Pinterest says, and then you insert a little bit of stress in life, I promise you, you're going to end up cycling and feeling the failure and feeling the frustration. And I don't want you to feel that. It's so simple to have someone in your back pocket, to be a message away, say, hey, here's what I'm feeling today. And can you imagine having someone say, hey girl, I feel those feelings too, or hey, totally understand what you're saying. Here's what I want you to focus on. Having someone reframe you when you can't reframe yourself. It's not an easy strategy, but it's something that you can learn and you can adapt so stop asking the question, am I doing it right? Know that you are doing it right and that it's just a matter of time. Because I personally know from experiencing this myself that it was just a matter of time. The scale will move. Your life will turn around. Your circumstance will not stay the same unless you keep doing what you're doing. Okay? So I want you to draw a line in the sand and understand, what is it that I want? What do I desire? What do I feel internally that keeps tugging at me? So many times when I talk with women, especially when it comes to their weight loss goals, they'll give me a real safe number. And I'm always like, okay, what weight do you desire to be on the scale? Okay, great. What weight are you at now? Okay, great. How tall are you? And I'm putting together the pieces because for most, we don't even understand what number we could actually be. Now, here's the deal. It's your goal. But I want to challenge most women that, hey, yeah, let's get to that goal and then let's blow past it, because that was your safe and comfy goal. That was your goal that in your mind, it wasn't even possible. But what I help you do is I help you put together the strategies, the right plan, the right food, the right movement and workouts that are going to put you in a position that, done day after day after day, week after week, month after month, holiday after holiday, you'll see success. Got to navigate some life, and it's a good thing to have a coach by your side to help you work through crazy things that come our way. Sometimes life just happens, right? And it's nice to know that you can bounce things. I know that I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have the coaching, the people in my back pocket that I can instantly call, message, email, that can give me that sound, non-emotional advice. Because when you're in it, man, it's pretty tough to see out. So I hope I've given you a lot of things to think about and things to really start questioning. And you want to ask yourself, if you're constantly feeling like you're repeating or cycling, or you keep gaining the same weight back and forth, we've got to get you out of that cycle. Got to understand what it is that you desire. And potentially we need to shake up what you're doing. Sometimes it's just a little tweak. Sometimes it's a complete shake up. And so when it comes to desiring a high level of health, never regret that. Never regret taking care of yourself. When you take care of yourself, your confidence explodes. You feel good most days. And it's like one less thing to worry about, because everything fits in your closet. Everything's going to look good. And just now focus on the next. You can start getting good with your spouse or your partner. You get really good with your career or the direction that it's going. That promotion, guess what? You're going to have the confidence to go for that. If your business, you're wanting to take it to the next level, guess what? You're going to have the confidence that, hey, I got this. Know how good your health is just rocking. Not just from like an aesthetics outside appearance, but that matters too. So let's get clear. Let's get really clear on what it is that you desire, that you want. And let's understand that, hey, I am doing it right. 99% of the time, there's a little sliver of whatever in there, but I want you to understand and be confident that I got this. It's just a matter of time and making the tweaks and moving forward on a daily basis. All right, ladies, let me know what questions you have. Let's keep getting after it. Confidence is everything.